Hello, everyone. This is Railsplitters on the mic. I'm your host, Rusty Peace, and today we're talking with Lincoln Memorial University head men's basketball coach Josh Schertz. Coach, welcome.
Thanks. Appreciate you having me on.
It's been a while since you and I talked on the Railsplitters on the mic segment, but a lot has happened since then. This Railsplitter team rolling right now. You have officially tied the program and conference streak for wins at 24. Two big wins this week, one at home, one on the road. You got another big game here at home this coming Saturday against Newberry. And so let's start first of all with the streak, and it's been a really good ride since that opener.
Yeah, certainly very difficult to do to win 24 in a row, doing anything at any level and do it in a league that's one of the best, if not, the best league in the country, but certainly right there is even more impressive. You got a group of guys that have all year been really competitive and have been connected. I think there's a lot of pulling together in that locker room. Guys, or I think support each other. They're good teammates. Hold each other accountable. There's a lot of good things going on. The hardest part when you're going through a streak like this is to be able to maintain your sense of being able to be, I guess, honest and self-critical and address issues that exist while you win. There's not the consequence of losing. So it's easy to have slippage, for things to kind of get away from you, easy to lose humility. And always talk about the sweet spot, the balance between confidence and humility is the sweet spot for any person, any team, anything you're doing. And it's easy when you're having success for the humility piece to go away and just confidence to turn to arrogance. And so we got to fight against that, against human nature, which is to, when things are going well, to relax, want to take your foot off the gas. And it's hard, when you're my age, let alone when you're, 18 to 22, 23. But anytime that you can accomplish something that gets you mentioned in the same space or breadth as the 2015-16 team, which is, the most decorated and accomplished team in the history, not only of LMU, but certainly in the history of this league. So anytime you can get that kind of recognition and be mentioned in the same breath of those guys, that's a tremendous compliment.
And I agree with that 100%. I'm glad to hear you talk about human nature. I look back at the many things that I thought before you took over as head coach and the things that I've learned since you have and have begun to look at in a different way. The human nature of it would be that pretty much everybody has a favorite of something, mm-hmm. or in some area of their life. How do you as a coach keep from selecting a favorite team of all time? I guess if you're in the midst of the season, then that's your favorite team at the moment.
Yeah, I think, you look back at every team and every team's different there. I really been lucky here to coach, almost without fail, like high character, super talented guys, be at a place that is committed and supports us and gives us resources at the highest level, helps to give us a product that is attractive for really quality basketball players, but you're also quality people, and that's where it's at, And so when you get into favorites, it's like anything, some teams your connections, better with. Some teams, the teams that you enjoy the most are the ones that reach their ceiling, like that first team we had here that went 14-14. Like, those guys, I'm still close with a number of those guys that were on that 08-09 team, and those guys have a special place in my heart because of what they did, how hard I worked them, and the fact that they kind of laid the foundation for everything that's followed. And those guys did really touch their ceiling, even though they won 14 games. That was our ceiling that year. And then there's other years that, you feel like, you have some regrets and you left some things on the table. But whether it's last year or, there's been very few, but other years where I don't feel like we maxed out, it wasn't because of, of bad people or bad intentions or not. It was just things didn't come together. And like anything in life, nothing happens every time. You have plans, you have ideas, you hope things come together in a certain way, but sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And So the teams that, for me, I've enjoyed the most, the ones that max out, touch their ceiling, because those are the ones that, as a coach, you look back and they help make you better, because there's such a level to do what these guys do. I have so much respect for the guys in our locker room and then the guys that have been there previously, because to win, in a league like this, 8 of 10 regular season titles and all the other stuff that's been achieved, takes, obviously talent's is important, but when you get to a certain point, talent equals out, right? So the level of commitment and the character of the people to sacrifice and pursue greatness together, and to be about winning and put winning above, any other kind of agenda. I mean, it helps you. It's helped me be a better person. I've been inspired by them. I admire a lot of the guys that have played here, the competitors they are, and certainly the type of people they are. And that's, helped me grow and be better in all areas of my life.
So you're 24-1 now on the year, entering this Saturday's matchup with Newberry. You could say that, what is this, your 13th team? 12th team, 12th season.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at those 12 seasons, you've had different teams every year because there have been different team members.
Mm-hmm.
But the one common denominator is Josh Schertz, and with that comes his philosophies, his demands, his strive for excellence. So I have to stop and say the player's talent is largely responsible, their drive is largely responsible, but you are largely responsible.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I think, as a head coach and in a program, you have a role to fill. And I try to do my job to the very best of my abilities. Ultimately, I've always believed this, players win games. Coaches can only lose them. You can have your team not ready. You can not make the right adjustments. You can make the wrong decisions. And I tell the guys, and they know, like, no one is going to make more mistakes than me. I have more decisions to make than those guys, but no one is going to make more mistakes than I will over the course of a year. So, I try to do my job the very best of my ability. I think the thing that, when I got here 12 years ago, there's so much that has changed in my philosophy and how we play, and across the board. The one thing that hasn't is the key to success is surrounding yourself with really good people, from your assistants all the way down, obviously your players, the support staff, we have with Adam Miller and strength and conditioning, Donnie Grigsby in athletic training, all the people that are around the program, Reiner and Mike and the guys that do the sports psychology stuff. Trevor, we have so many people in and around the program, but we have great people, and the people are what makes it, and that's the key to sustain success, is to get the right people on the bus, put them in the right spots, and that's, I do have to oversee that part, and I think hopefully I've done that at a good level, and that's allowed everything else to kind of unfold as it has.
So as it stands, a number 2 national ranking, I would have to say safely that you would be considered the number 1 team in the region. You're number 1 in the South Atlantic Conference. You have only 1 loss on the year. You just clinched at least a share of your 8th title in the conference in 10 years. This team is poised to be among the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, as we go into our next matchup on Saturday.
Yeah, I think our story will really be written from this point forward, right? We've had some teams here that have, and I think I said this, in the post game last night, I've been a part of a number of teams that have had long winning streaks. I think this is the 6th team that's won somewhere between 17 to 24 games in a row. And some of those years, boy, you go on these long winning streaks and it breeds a desire for more success, and guys get more focused and locked in. The success fuels them. And that happened in 15-16 and happened in 16-17, right? Even in 17-18, really 3 years in a row. 14-15, we were 20-0, number 1 in the country. I thought by the end of the season we were a shell of ourselves. Got destroyed here at home by Mount Olive in the NCAA tournament, got destroyed in the conference tournament championship by Carson Newman. And really you can make the same case for 10-11, right? 22-0. And so I've seen it both ways. Where that team winds up losing in the first round, gets upset in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So, the key is, no matter what, I do think the regular season is the best barometer of a greatness of any team, because it's 4 months, it's round robin, you're playing everybody, you have 11 home, 11 road, everybody's got the same schedule. So that's the best barometer of greatness. But in any sport, I think no matter what happens from here, it's been a great season, but it's not a special season unless you perform from this point moving forward. And by perform, I mean we continue to improve, get better, and we're peaking and playing our best, because unless you perform in the postseason, it could be a great season, but it can't be special. And I think there's a big difference. Those special seasons have been where we've performed the postseason. That was the 27-3 year in 2010-11 a great year. It was a great year. Was the 30-3 and 14-15 a great year? Great year. It wasn't as special as those other years, because those other years we performed when it matters most, and that time's just around the corner. So there's hopefully a sense of urgency about the work we needed to do and continue to buy in. We talk all the time about prepare daily with a purpose. Do ordinary things in an extraordinary way, right? I mean, because there's an old George Washington quote, do common things in an uncommon way, and you will capture the attention of the world, right? So everybody's practicing. Everybody's doing scouting reports. Everybody's lifting. We're not doing anything revolutionary here in our arena. It's about the purpose and that we bring to everything we do, and trying to be deliberate in how we approach practice and all the other aspects, our attention to detail, all those other things. And so that's going to be the challenge for us moving forward.
Saturday's home game against Newberry, one of 3 remaining regular season home games, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
We still have Anderson to come here along with Tusculum. Couple of hard matchups on the road, Catawba being one of those. I think Mars Hill, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Jason Taylor is a guy who enjoyed a little bit of success against the Railsplitters when he was with Anderson University. First year back at Newberry. Mm-hmm. LMU took round 1 on the road down in Newberry, South Carolina. But yet he is a guy who is very capable of possessing the knowledge to come in here and beat this team if he can get the effort from his team this Saturday.
Yeah, Jason's one of the best coaches in our league and in the region. He's proven the job he did at Anderson is just remarkable, and the success he had there, and he'll bring the same. He took over, inherited a good program from Dave Davis, who's an outstanding coach, and they went out and hired another phenomenal coach in Jason. They played totally different styles. And so those guys are having to adjust to the way that Jason wants to play. Jason's going to implement and play his style of basketball, and you can see that what they're trying to do. I think like everybody in our league, they're right kind of in the middle. They're capable of certainly beating anybody, us included, and like most teams, I think most everybody in our league capable of losing anybody. They have good players, veteran players. Luke Gibson and Marcus Ford are leading the league in 3-point percentage. They're 1-2. Those guys are, shooting the cover off at once. I think shooting 49, maybe Luke shooting 49, and Ford shooting 48. Marshall Lang has been a 4-year starter. AJ Sales, arguably, as good a big as there is in the league. Leads the league in rebounding, and and is a double-double machine. And then Quindavian McCullum. We got him going. He hadn't made a 3 all year. He hit 3 against us, and he's played really good basketball. I think he had a career high against us, and he broke that and scored 23 here recently. And then, they come off the bench, like I said, Ford is a good player, TJ Brown. They got a lot of guys that they come at you with, and Jason, they're very well coached, very sound defensively, do a great job, of clogging the lanes and making things difficult. And you got to be aggressive, but you got to make the right plays. They do a nice job when you drive of collapsing, so you're not going to get a ton at the rim, and you got to play off too and make good rim decisions. So, and then on the offensive end, he runs good stuff. They space you, drive you. They get to it a lot of different ways. But at the end of the day, they're trying to either throw it inside to Sales or McCullum, or space you and get downhill and force you to make a decision. And then they surround those guys with shooting. So hard to guard, do a good job defensively, and we'll have our work cut out for us. It's like every other night in this league. You go into Virginia Wise just today, and they're, I guess, 1-15 in the league at that point, and I think 10 of their 15 losses have been in the league have been by like 8 points or less or something, you know, or 7 points or less. I mean, it's crazy. So the margins are not huge. You got to be on, you got to be right, you got to play really well and play really hard just to have a chance. We'll have to do both those things to have a chance to be successful on Saturday.
Coach, finally, I want to ask, when it comes to making that conference tournament championship run, that regional championship run, and ultimately the run at the national championship, in your mind, what are the things that this team is going to have to focus on most in order to get there and to accomplish those tasks ahead?
I think we can, you know, there's really not much we can improve in. You know, I think we can defensively, you know, there's been some slippage, you know, the last 4 games, you know, 80-78, 80-76. You know, that number is trending in a bad direction. You know, our defensive transition can be much better. Our communication, our talk, our principles can be more sound. We can be better in the half court, obviously sliding and shrinking the floor, and our checkouts. You know, that's, you know, kind of ebbs and flows. You know, sometimes we box and other times we don't. We have certain guys that always do it, certain guys that rarely do it. And then offensively, you know, we're at our best when we're playing with pace, and people associate pace with the full court thrust and trying to, you know, run the ball down, but pace is in the half court too. And how hard you cut, how quick you move, how sharp you drive. And we got to, I thought last night in the first half we were super stagnant. They switched everything, and we just did not do a good job of attacking. You know, them switching 1 through 5, we didn't throw it inside, and we couldn't beat them off the dribble. So it was pretty rough for the first, you know, 16, 17 minutes. Thought at the end of the half we kind of got our footing, took the lead, and then second half I thought offensively we played great. You know, scored 56 points and generated a lot of good looks and played more to our style. So being who we want to be and who we need to be more often on both ends of the floor is really what it's going to take. Because as you get, you know, we always talk about that imaginary line that you got to hit to win, right? There's a certain line, depending on the team you're playing, how good they are. There's a certain line you got to hit to be able to get the job done. There's only so many mistakes you can make, and that line continues to rise as you go along. Like, everybody's better than they were in November. As you get towards the postseason and the NCAA tournament, the conference tournament, and there's familiarity, that line grows. NCAA tournament, every round, that line gets a little higher. So it's about continuing to grow, improve, understand our most significant challenges and our greatest opportunities are in front of us, not behind us. This was, you know, nice to clinch at least a share of the league. Obviously, we want to win it outright, but whatever that is, even if that's what happens and we win it outright, you know, you want your best moments to be ahead of you. You gotta, you know, believe that, and you gotta feel that way, and I do, you know, but we gotta work for it to make those moments happen.